Dun 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 dun. Of course, you know the protocol that these videos are recorded on the night before they are uploaded. So if there is a contract, if there is a PTO, if there is anything of that nature signed with this player, with this team, or with a different team, then I apologize. We may have to fix things up on our end here if that goes down, but in this video what I wanted to do was go over to an article on The Athletic, because there was a piece published by Arthur Staple on August 29th, talking about players that are still available in 2024 NHL free agency and which teams are potential good fits. Now, you would have seen the other day, we used this article to talk about one of the names that was linked to the Detroit Red Wings and the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was the Max Pacioretty conversation. It was a pretty notable one, I would say. Bunch of views, a bunch of comments, y'all were getting into it in the replies, just kind of talking about whether or not he would have been a good fit or not. But this same article from Arthur Staple goes over yet another name that the Red Wings are linked to. Now, of course, I assume if you clicked on this video, you can read, you can see the thumbnail, you know who it is we're talking about. And to help us out with this discussion, we're going over onto Heavy.com. The Athletic has paid for material, so we're going to a secondary source. This article, published by Cole Shelton on September 1st, goes out there and cites the Arthur Staple Athletic piece in regards to the Red Wings being linked to a former 36-goal scorer free agent forward. Let's go out there and read what the article says. Mike Hoffman remains on the open market, and NHL analyst Arthur Staple of The Athletic links him to the Detroit Red Wings. Hoffman completed his 3-year, $13.5 million deal and has not been signed since becoming a free agent on July 1st. The forward has struggled for the past couple of seasons, but he is still a former 70-point and 36-goal scorer in the NHL. Now hold your horses there, buddy. Mike Hoffman, sure, he may be a former 30-goal scorer and 70-point guy in the NHL, but that was literally 5 years ago. 2018-19 is when Hoffman had that 70-point year with the Florida Panthers. Ever since then, he has declined steadily, posting up 23 points in 66 games played this most recent season. He had 10 goals. He was fine for what the San Jose Sharks wanted out of him. He was okay with Montreal. I say he was a bit better there. Still, really one-dimensional, but still, Hoffman was a consistent 20-goal guy for a while before dipping in the latter parts of his career. You could say the games played plays a part of it, but still. This certainly is not a super reliable two-way defensive specialist. This is a pure goal scorer through and through who has a wicked shot and not really much else, to be honest. Arthur Staple writes this, as posted in the Heavy.com article. There sure are a lot of recent Sharks on this list, aren't there? Hard to know how to judge guys after playing on one of the worst teams in recent memory, but Mike Hoffman can still play a bit, even if the scoring has dropped from his early days with the Sens and Panthers, Staples wrote in his article. The best fits. If the Detroit Red Wings are in on Pacioretty and don't land him, Hoffman might be a decent consolation prize. Not sure if Hoffman can hang with the higher-end teams that play a very structured style, though, Staple added. Mike Hoffman could add some depth to a third line and add some scoring to the bottom of the lineup, which has been an issue for Detroit in previous years. Now, honestly, I think that Mike Hoffman isn't really that great of a player. Yeah, watching him play in Montreal the past few years was, kind of rough. And even though he did score some goals and he did get some power play points here and there, it wasn't really a situation where it was yeah, this is an amazing hockey player. He was just there because nobody else was really there. Honestly. You give the Canadiens some time, you give Slafkovsky some time to develop, you get Ivan Demidov a spot in the team, and boom. You don't really have the need for a guy like Mike Hoffman anymore anyway. He was just there because the transitory team needed some transitory players as they transitioned into a younger, more youthful squad. And then, Mike Hoffman in San Jose was really more or less the same. Not really anything super spectacular, but he was still there, he got some points. Now here's the thing though. With all that being said, I do think that Mike Hoffman could, in some capacity, provide value for the Detroit Red Wings. You want to talk about a goal scorer that could play fourth-line minutes, get plopped onto a power play, put the puck in the back of the net, and do nothing else? I mean, look, Daniel Sprong was utilized almost exactly in that role, and he excelled. A lot of people were kind of disappointed when he left Detroit, especially for the cheap contract that he had signed in the Vancouver Canucks system. Could Mike Hoffman be the in theory replacement for what Daniel Sprong was in Detroit the past few years? If you have those kinds of expectations, I feel like it's a lot easier to stomach Mike Hoffman as a player. If you recognize, hey, he sucks defensively, he doesn't really backcheck often, he doesn't really do much outside of the offensive zone, and maybe he shoots a little bit too much. If you could kind of internalize that and feel in your bones that, yeah, Hoffman is just going to be like a 10-15 goal guy and that's it, when he gets those 10 to 15 goals, every single time you are going to be excited and you're going to feel rewarded, especially if he signs on for a really cheap deal. If Yzerman gets him onto a PTO or something like that, and then he eventually inks a regular contract at $900,000, I mean, getting 10, 12, 15, maybe even 19 goals out of a $900,000 player, that's a really good bet, no matter how bad he is defensively or how much else he doesn't do. If you wanted to say a role like that does exist for Hoffman in Detroit, I honestly would not disagree. The question is, though, would the Red Wings be able to get this done, and would they have Hoffman as one of their first choices? The article brought up the Max Pacioretty thing, and of course we had made the video about that situation just a few days ago. So if Pacioretty is somehow going over to Toronto and then he leaves the Red Wings out to dry, is the immediate direct response to that from Steve Yzerman's point of view, going over to Mike Hoffman and saying, hey, we just lost out in Max Pacioretty, do you want a contract? Here you go, bud. Of course, though, Pacioretty, I'd say, is a much more complete player. He does a lot more things like playmaking and actually playing away from the puck at times. You could say the age isn't really a factor here because Hoffman is 34, Pacioretty is around the same, if not just a tad older, so yeah, aging, goal scoring, offensively capable veterans, right? Is this the move for Steve Yzerman and the Detroit Red Wings? I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below whether or not this actually would be a pretty legit idea. I mean, if you asked me, it's not the worst thing in the world, even though Mike Hoffman definitely is not the best player in the world. I don't know. There's a lot of nuance there. I feel like I did a pretty okay job at diving into it, but of course, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you disagree. But the Athletic article, as well as the Heavy.com article, they're all going to be there in the description below if you wanted to get your extra insight in there for this Mike Hoffman and Detroit Red Wings idea. The Athletic piece is a longer list of more names than just Hoffman and more teams than just Detroit, so you might have a bit of a kick there if you wanted to go out there and read that piece. Of course, the Pacioretty thing came from that same article. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Mike Hoffman potentially being an option for the Detroit Red Wings, whether or not this actually does make sense. If you were Steve Yzerman, would you sign a guy like Mike Hoffman to a PTO? Would you sign him to a $900,000 deal? And if any Sharks fans are in this comment section, then hey, please let me know your thoughts on the way Mike Hoffman played in 2023-2024. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.